Sal, can we just have Gary can Gary call Lynn and just put him on speakerphone next to the computer? As long as he can hear, he can participate.
Yes, that'll be fine.
Gary, can you hear us? I will call us off. All right, Gary's calling Lynn and he'll put him on speaker and we'll do it that way. That's okay, Sal?
That's absolutely appropriate. Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks everybody for their patience.
Here's
We haven't
Lynn
been
is on with us. Let's make sure if we could, Tyler, then we can get started.
All right,
Lynn, are you
can
there?
I'm here.
Great, thank you, Lynn. Can you hear us?
I'm where I need to be here.
Yeah, can you hear them?
Yes, I can.
Great,
Okay,
thanks, Lynn. Sorry about that. I know it's always
All
tricky.
right, my apologies. Decided to update when I turned it on.
No
I'm
problem.
gonna try to sign in online anyway. So
No problem. All right, so we're going to begin. Melissa, you're recording on your end, right? Great. And this is Melissa, our deputy clerk's first meeting with us to start the new year. So we always appreciate that. Welcome aboard. At this time, we will call our reorganization meeting January 4th, 2022. Got to get used to saying that to order. And with that, I'll ask that we salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, with that, Melissa, do you mind reading the sunshine statement, please?
Sure. Be advised that proper notice has been given by the Township Council in accordance with the Sunshine Law in the following manner. Notice advertised in the Burlington County Times and Camden Courier Post on December 28th, 2021, and posted on the bulletin board on the same date.
Thank you, Melissa. This time, before we do the roll call, we will swear in Councilman Marlo Smith, will be sworn in by our Assemblywoman Carol Murphy, who's joining us tonight via Zoom. So Assemblywoman and Marlo, I'm going to take it over to you guys.
Okay. All right, Marlo, no turning back. Raise your right hand. And repeat after me, please. I, Marlo Smith,
I, Marlo Smith,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States
that I do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to same
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States and in this state. I'll repeat it.
Yes, sorry.
Good. And to the governments established in the United States
And to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform all the duties of the office of Councilman Ward 3,
perform all the duties of Councilman Ward 3,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Councilman.
Thank you very much.
congratulations, Marlo.
Thank you very much.
Great, and thank you, Assemblywoman Carol Murphy, for joining us today. We always appreciate it. Always glad to have you here.
My pleasure. And I'm going to sign off, but you know where to reach me. Marlo, congratulations. I'm very excited for you. You're joining a great team of folks. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Assemblywoman.
Thank you. All right, now with this, Melissa, I'll hand it off to you. If you can unmute and do the roll call, please.
Mr. Smith,
Here.
Mr. Jenny,
Here,
Ms. Parejo,
Here.
Mr. Lyon,
Here.
Mr. Burrell.
Here. And just, thank you, Melissa. And just for the record, Councilman Jennings is joining us remotely via a cell phone because there were some technical difficulties, but he can hear and participate with all the parties on the call. So we appreciate that. So next up, we have nominations for President of Council. At this time, I will seek those nominations. We just need nominations, no motions, just nominations for any member of council who wishes to be President of Council.
Yeah, this is Tom Lyon. I'd like to nominate Tyler Burrell for council president.
Thank you, Tom. Is there any other nominations? Thank you, Lynn. Is there any other nominations? Seeing none or hearing no other nominations, at this time, we'll take a vote for President of Council Tyler Burrell. At this time, Melissa, could you please call the roll for that?
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Jenny,
Aye.
Ms. Parejo,
Aye.
Mr. Lyon,
Aye.
Mr. Burrell.
Aye. And thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate the vote of confidence. Glad to be running the meetings for the next year. Appreciate it. Next up, we have second in line here. We have the Vice President of Council. So I'll take nominations for council, anyone who wants to be the Vice President of Council. And I would like to, before anybody jumps in, nominate Tom Lyon for Vice President of Council.
Second
Is there any
that.
other? Thank you, Lynn. Is there any other nominations? All right, hearing none, I'll ask for a vote for Tom Lyon as Vice President of Council. Melissa, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Jenny,
Aye.
Ms. Parejo,
Aye.
Mr. Lyon,
Aye.
Mr. Burrell.
Aye. Congratulations, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Should I say Mr. Vice President? All right, next up, we have mayor's appointments with the advice and consent of council. This is resolution, I'll read through all of these. This is resolution 2022-01, the appointment of Siciliano and Associates as a township solicitor. Resolution 2022-02, appointment of CME Associates, the township engineer. Resolution 2022-03, appointment of Parker McKay as the township bond attorney. Resolution 2022-04, appointment of Marmero Law LLC as the township labor attorney. Resolution 2022-05, the appointment of Kathleen McGill Gaskell Esquire as the township tax attorney. And resolution 2022-06, the appointment of Platt Law Group PC as the township's affordable housing attorney, also known as COA. With all those resolutions, I'll entertain a motion in a second for resolution 2022-1 all the way to resolution 2022-06.
Motion.
I'll second.
That's Lynn and Marlo. And Melissa, do you mind calling the roll, please?
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Jenny,
Aye.
Ms. Parejo,
Aye.
Mr. Lyon,
Aye.
Mr. Burrell.
Aye. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Congratulations, Mayor, on your appointments.
Thank you.
Next up, we have council's appointments. This is resolution 2022-07, appointing Bowman Company LLP as the township auditor. Resolution 2022-08, appointing Daniel Rosenberg and Associates as the township public defender. Resolution 2022-09, appointing Greg Purr as the township prosecutor. Resolution 2022-10, appointing Weiner Law Group LLC as the township's conflict special attorney. And resolution 2022-11, appointing Hartenberg Insurance Group as the township risk management consultant. Can I get a motion in a second for those resolutions, please?
Motion, Tom Lyon.
Second.
And a second is Virginia. Melissa, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Jenny,
Aye.
Ms. Parejo,
Aye.
Mr. Lyon,
Aye.
Mr. Burrell.
Aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries and the resolutions are adopted. Next up, we have our resolutions, a couple to get through. First up, we have resolution 2022-12. This is establishing rules concerning meeting decorum and procedures. Can I get a motion and a second on that, please?
Tom Lyon, motion.
Marlo Smith, second.
Marlo with a second. Melissa, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Jenny,
Aye.
Ms. Parejo,
Aye.
Mr. Lyon,
Aye.
Mr. Burrell.
Aye. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next up is Resolution 2022-13, such as a cash management plan, depositories and investments. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Yeah,
I'll second.
Second.
Marlo Smith.
Great. Melissa, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Jenny,
Aye.
Ms. Parejo,
Aye.
Mr. Lyon,
Aye.
Mr. Burrell.
Aye. The ayes have it. Motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Next up is Resolution 2022-14, approving the 2022 annual meeting notice. And before I entertain any motions with that, next Tuesday's meeting, there is no meeting next Tuesday. Instead, it's moved to the 25th. So just note that for the record. So there is no meeting next Tuesday. It will be the 25th. That doesn't follow our normal schedule, but just for the record, so make sure everybody has that. Their calendars, as well as all of the meetings in January, will be on Zoom. We'll then monitor the pandemic through the course of January and decide if we need to make any changes to the meetings after that. Any questions or concerns regarding that notice? All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. Marlo Smith.
Second, Jenny.
Lynn and Melissa, could you call the roll, please?
Councilman, before, Council President, excuse me.
Yeah.
You had indicated in the agenda that it would be January 11th and the 25th. Has that been changed?
The meeting notice calls for January 18th and the 25th will be work sessions.
Okay,
Yeah, the 11th, which would normally be what we would normally do, we're not having a meeting on the 11th.
but it will be moved to the 18th.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, just making
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, we're still going to have two work sessions in the month of January. It's just going to be on the 18th and the 25th.
So thank you.
Okay, great. So there is a motion and a second on the floor. So at this time, Melissa, I ask if you could please call the roll.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Jenny,
Aye.
Ms. Parejo,
Aye.
Mr. Lyon,
Aye.
Mr. Burrell.
Aye. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Resolution's adopted. Next, we have Resolution 2022-18, adopting the 2022 temporary budget. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Tom Lyon. I think it's 2022-15.
It is 2022-15, adopting the 2022 temporary budget. Yes. My bad.
I'll
Got to get
second.
used to the 2022. There's a second from Marla, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Melissa, do you mind calling the roll, please?
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Jenny,
Aye.
Ms. Parejo,
Aye.
Mr. Lyon,
Aye.
Mr. Burrell.
Aye, the ayes have it, and the resolution carries and is adopted. Next up, we have the mayor's appointments to various boards and committees. First up is Kimberly Bogie to the Planning Board as a Class 2 member for a term to expire December 31st, 2022. Next is Desiree Russell to the Planning Board as alternate 1 for a term to expire December 31st, 2023. And that's it. So with that, I'll entertain a motion and a second, please. Actually, those are the mayor's appointments and they do not need our vote. That's why there's no option to vote. So congratulations, Mayor, on those appointments. Now is mayor's appointments with the advice and consent of council. This is James Hatzel to the Recreation Advisory Committee for a term to expire December 31st, 2024. And Kara Latini to the Green Team for a term to expire December 31st, 2024. Now I will entertain a motion for those two.
So moved, Tom Lyon.
I'll second. Marlo Smith.
Thank you. Melissa, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Jenny,
Aye.
Ms. Parejo,
Aye.
Mr. Lyon,
Aye.
Mr. Burrell.
Aye. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Next up, we have our council appointments. It's Tom Lyon, our Vice President of Council to the Planning Board as a Class 3 member for a term to expire December 31st, 2022. Michael Anderson to the Zoning Board for a term to expire December 31st, 2025. Tyler Burrell to the Recreation Advisory Committee for a term to expire December 31st, 2024. Emily Klein to the Green Team for a term to expire December 31st, 2024. and Al Carp to the Green Team for a term to expire December 31st, 2024. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. Marlo Smith.
Second.
Second. Virginia. Melissa, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Jenny,
Aye.
Ms. Parejo,
Aye.
Mr. Lyon,
Aye.
Mr. Burrell.
Aye. The ayes have it. Motion carries. And finally, we'll wrap up this meeting with our comment section for our council before we open up the floor. So at this time, we'll have our normal comments and reports, but we'll do the abbreviated version. So first up, Mayor Catronbo, do you have anything you'd like to say in our reorg meeting, or reserve it for our public meeting at 7?
I'll reserve comments for the public meeting. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mayor. Next up, Councilwoman Virginia Parejo, do you have anything for us this evening for our reorg?
Just congratulations to everyone, and I'll reserve the other point.
Thank you. Next up, we have Lynn Jenny, Councilman Lynn Jenny. Can you hear us? Do you have anything for us for comments?
The only comments I have tonight is, and I wanted to do that when we voted, but on the policy regarding our meeting disciplines, Council President, isn't that the same policy we're currently using and we've been using?
Yeah, Councilman. I mean, generally, there's the same terms apply to the policy that we have in place now, which is potentially it's informal
Can I just
policy.
interject? I'm sorry, can I just interject? It is the same policy, but it's adopted annually.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why.
And it's the same policy.
Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, it's the same policy we adopted annually.
And is it the same policy used by other townships generally?
Yeah, it's a model ordinance. I worked with the council president on fashioning it. It's based on a line of case law and decisions. So this is not something isolated to Delran. It's followed throughout the state of New Jersey.
Okay. And, in there, I noticed that definitely supports resident involvement in our meetings and participation. It just defines how we'll do that so that we have an organized meeting.
Correct. We're fortunate here. We don't have many unruly meetings, but in some municipalities, members of the public who tend to speak up sometimes become unruly, and for that reason, rules of decorum are in place. But we're very fortunate that most of our citizens that participate in this democratic process do so in a respectful and orderly fashion. So
it's probably smart then that we memorialize this and make it, clear. But thank you very much. I just wanted to clarify that because I know there's some misinformation going around. Thank you very much.
yes, sir. Happy.
Thank you, Councilman. With that, next, we will go to our newly minted Councilman Marlo Smith. Congratulations. You have any comment for us this evening?
No, just, thanks once again. And I just look forward to working with the team again in 2022. And, this is a big year for everybody. So we got a lot of work ahead of us. So just looking forward to it.
Great. Glad to have you on board officially. It's always good to keep you here, and it's always something special after you get elected on the ballot, right?
That's true.
Very good. And next up, we have Vice President of Council, Tom Lyon. Vice President.
Yeah, congratulations, Marlo. Glad you're back on board. He's a great human being. We appreciate it. Also, to the people that are volunteering for boards, planning, zoning, recreation advisor, the green team, all those folks that donate their time, we really do appreciate it. It is admirable that you're taking the time to help this township run efficiently, and I'll reserve any other comment for the open meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. And for my comment, I just want to keep it quick, but I did prepare some statements for the reorg just to put on the record here. I first want to thank my colleagues for nominating me as council president. It's my honor and privilege to serve you last year, and it'll be still my honor and privilege to serve this year. I look forward to what we can accomplish. And as always, you can reach out at any time. I also want to thank, we already thanked her, but thank Assemblywoman Carol Murphy for joining us, swearing in Councilman Marlo Smith. I've gotten to know Councilman Marlo Smith during the last year, our time here. His diligence, patience, and intelligence makes him a perfect fit for council. So I look forward to spending another year with you here. And just kind of in a global sense, I recently read an article by Adam Grant, who's a professor at Wharton. For those who know him, know he's one of the best in the industry. But he outlined this hierarchy of thinking and leadership, and he lists all these different hierarchies that are available or based on his research. Among them, there was two of them that stood out to me. One was you're either a politician or you're a learner. And he defined politicians are those that preach their side of the gospel and prosecute the other sides. On the other end of the spectrum, you have leaders who are learners, and they surround themselves with people who challenge their thought process, and they make their decision based on logic and evidence. And I think today, more than ever before, we too need to employ that learner leadership style that Grant so much talks about. We make the best informed decisions for Delran with the information we have in front of us, and we're going to continue to do that. Last year, certainly unprecedented. It seems that this year shaping up to be another year for the books. And we don't have a playbook for a lot of what we're doing here. We lost Jeff a couple of months ago, or last month. The mayor's taking lead on a lot of the administration. There's just a lot of changes going on. Everything's unprecedented. But we're still got to do the work that we were elected to do. And strong leadership is going to be necessary to navigate these uncertain times and to keep Delran moving forward. And that's literally what we're going to do. So in closing, I say this every reorg. I want to remind my colleagues the great privilege we hold here today. By virtue of our position, we have the ability to make positive change for our community. We must never forget this responsibility and stay true to our mission for the greater good of Delran. So with that, that'll conclude my comments. And now I will ask for a motion to open the floor to public comments.
So moved, Tom Lyon.
Is there a second, please?
Second, Lynn.
Lynn, thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. Before we get to that real quick, just for the record, I know it's 7:02 and our public meeting was noticed for this. So we're still in our reorg portion of our meeting. We will take a recess and get back to the public portion. It's a different agenda, but for those folks who are joining us at the 7 o'clock hour, some delayed TV. Now that our floor is open to the public, I'll just restate the rules of decorum. If you wish to speak, now that we're on Zoom, you can raise your hand through the raise your hand function. You will then be unmuted and you state your name and address for the record. All remarks should be directed to council. An individual speaker will have 5 minutes of allotted time, and these statements are made a part of the public record and cannot be retracted or redacted afterward. So if there's any member of the public who wishes to speak, we ask that you please raise your hand now. All right, looks like up first I saw was Dan O'Connell. Dan, you lowered your hand, so I'm not sure if you still want to speak. So if you do, bring your hand back up. Yes, I see you. Okay, we're going to allow you to talk, Dan. Commissioner Dan O'Connell, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you very much, President Burrell, and good evening, everybody. I apologize for the hoarse voice, but I'm real happy to be here. First of all, I want to wish you all a happy new year, and I want to congratulate Marlo Smith and wish him all the best and thank him for stepping up to serve the community. It's not easy to do. It's a sacrifice of time, but I've gotten to know Marlo a little bit over the last year, and I'm sure he doesn't mind that, and I hope he's looking forward to having a great year on council, and I wish all of the council the best. I'd also like to thank you as Commissioner Liaison to our health department for holding your meeting virtually. Our reorganization meeting at the county is set for tomorrow night, and we were going to have that in person. And unfortunately, because of the rise in the COVID cases, not only here in Burlington County, but across the state and the country, we've decided to do that as an all virtual affair. I know it's not quite as nice as having everybody in a room and having all your family and friends there, but you're doing the right thing and you're providing a great example of leadership to the town. Mayor, it's always nice to see you, and I want to wish you all the best, all of you this year, and know that I'm just a phone call, text, email away, should you have any need to call on me. Nice to see you all tonight. Thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you, Commissioner. Always glad to see you virtually, that is. Thank you, Dave. And then we're going to exit out of him. Next person is Mr. Duff. I'll unmute you. How do I do that? Why is it allow to talk? There we go. All right, Mr. Duff, can you hear us?
Sure, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Now, I was wondering, is it, is video not accessible for the citizens and only for the elected officials?
Mr. Duff, I'm not sure what your question is entail.
Well, because there's no recording of the actual of my public comments, just the audio of it. So I was just wondering, is there a flaw in the system where it doesn't allow the video for the citizens to also appear?
No, Mr. Duff, this is how Zoom works, and Zoom is being used across New Jersey and the United States for public meetings. This is how they work. Webinars do not allow the participant to participate with their video, but they can participate via their audio comments, which complies with the Open Public Meeting Act. So do you have any other comment for us this evening?
Yeah, no, I was just wondering that because it's new to me. I participate in a lot of other meetings, and they do allow the citizens' image to be shown. But real quick, just wanted to touch base. The resolution that was passed this evening, the number 12, with 2022-12. I have a question regarding that. What is the need for that resolution? Is there anybody that can let the people know why the township decided to pass that resolution, what the need for was?
Sure, Mr. Duff. It's fairly simple. The ordinance, it's not an ordinance, I should say it's a resolution that we're going to adopt every year. It establishes the decorum rules for our council meetings, zoning meetings, and planning board meetings, because we are the governing body. And it just makes sure that our meetings have the quorum and allow citizens to engage, allow productive conversation. That's merely the point. And if you actually read the resolution in the footnotes, there is a laundry list of case law and jurisprudence that talk about why we need this notice. There's actually a Supreme Court case that you are required to publish this notice, put people on notice about your decorum rules, so that if there is an issue, they're on notice. And in my mind, this resolution establishes those rules, puts everybody on notice. So there's no room for me as the presiding officer or any presiding officer in any other meeting to make up rules. They have a rule book to follow. And as Sal mentioned earlier, there's really no intention here to use it or employ it or drag anybody out of meetings. That's definitely not the point. It's there, as a prophylactic measure in case we need it. It's a good course of managing and administrating our meetings.
What changes? Because number 3 of the ordinance or the resolution says that all remarks shall be addressed to the body as a whole. Does that mean that individual council people and/or officials cannot be questioned individually?
Generally, you're supposed to address the council as a whole. It's not supposed to litigate, individual matters with council. It's up to the presiding officer.
Not been the case, correct?
No, you're supposed to address.
Is there something different now about this current resolution that will change the way questions are able to be asked of representatives in Delran?
No, there's absolutely no change to what we currently do. And as this is mentioned, for the record, nothing is different. But for the record, this ordinance was not a creation of mine or council. We actually, every year we attend the League of Municipalities in Atlantic City. We sat through the MEL. Our insurance company has a seminar that we sat through. I believe Gary, Sal, and Lynn were there. We all went. And they actually had a speaker who spoke on this ordinance and actually gave us about a 10-minute presentation. This is a model ordinance they presented to us and asked that all their townships involved in their insurance fund pass this ordinance to better equip their townships and moving forward. So this isn't some sort of grand conspiracy here to trump your ability to speak to council. It's just a part of our daily course of making sure our meetings can be manageable and we can have public meetings that work for everybody. And I got to say one more thing, Mr. Duff, before you go. I mean, this, to show you how vastly popular this is, at least similar versions. I know the school board, Delran's own school board, has policy 167 called public participation, which actually mirrors this ordinance very similarly, has the same provisions almost identically. I mean, it's not word for word, but has a very similar theme, and it's often used and employed through public meetings throughout the state.
Well, here's what I'm concerned with the actual resolution. Number one, it's repetitive in the sense that if somebody makes threatening comments in a council hearing, that automatically is not legal. It's not legal for somebody to do so. So to try to create an extra layer of this ordinance that not only gives it gives the council president a lot of leeway in deciding what is and what isn't allowed comment wise. Now, that should be allowed. All comments that are unthreatening should be allowed. I mean, even if they're slightly repetitive. In your ordinance and the resolution, I apologize, it says that that the council president can basically decide what is repetitious and not. Now, we all know that the last 3 months in council, there's been repetitious comments asking questions that there has still yet to be answers to. Right. So if the questions are asked, here's a question that kind of really focuses this argument. If the questions are asked and never answered, can the council president then require the person asking that question to not ask the questions anymore, even though the council or mayor or solicitor has never answered the actual questions?
Mr. Duff, I can't answer your hypothetical questions about different questions that are going to be answered. This is a model ordinance that's established. It's standard practice for us to do that. The presiding officer, as the presiding officer in Delran, if you check our code book and Robert's rules, has vast authority to administer and conduct the meeting. If anything, this resolution limits that ability and makes sure it's clear what his or her role is. So I don't think it stifles speech. That's not the point of it. In fact, it's supposed to make sure the rules are established.
Can I ask the mayor a direct question?
Yeah, Mr. Duff, you can ask one quick question. You've been speaking for over 6 minutes, so you can wrap it up, please.
Yeah, just one question of the mayor. Do you believe that taking pictures of the Dunphy property, as you admitted the last meeting, is in your job description as the mayor? And do you believe that the activities that you undertook, which involved taking pictures of a private person's property, you believe that their actions that were legal?
Are you through?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's irrelevant to this meeting, and I'm not going to answer that question.
And you see, that's the problem, Council President, and that's why I wanted to say that, because that question should be answered. The solicitor had mentioned 3 meetings ago that if anything illegal happens, that he himself would report it to the state attorney general. And here is allegations of RICO violations, of trespassing, of abuse of power. And the question is, and you also, Council President, said that you would report these things yourself to the attorney general. The question that I have to ask is, has anybody reported any of these allegations to the attorney general or authorities to have them investigated from the township of Delran on the council president, solicitor, any other council members? Anybody reported any of these alleged activities that were said that would be reported if they were alleged, and they have been alleged? Has anybody reported these to the state attorney general, the FBI, or other authorities to have them investigated?
Mr. Duff, I have not reported anything because these are allegations that were in a lawsuit. So there are allegations. It was settled outside of court for the best of the town. So with that, Mr. Duff, your time has expired.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have If that's Pat, that's Dan. We have Mr. Oberg. How do I do that? Allow the talk. Mr. Oberg, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. I wanted to comment on that rules for decorum. I see that you brought up Delran School Board's rules for decorum. You'll have to excuse my voice. I'm going through laryngitis.
Okay.
But for Delran School Board, because obviously I'm a member of the school board, but any actions I take outside of the school board are actions as an individual. So our school board functions only as a whole. So when you point out Delran School Board has these rules, we also have a spokesperson who is our president. So that person speaks on behalf of the school board. That doesn't stop people from asking individual questions. Now, this rules for decorum that you have states that you must ask your committee as a whole, where you guys have individual power as members of town council. You can act individually without council approval and do stuff on your own without it involving the entire council. So to put those two together kind of isn't the same. So when I come to a meeting for town council, you each have an individual power of your own as a member of town council. So say, as Patrick was asking the mayor about a question, I can ask the whole council that same question. But if the mayor is the one who's doing it or doing these actions that are supposedly going on, we should, as the public, be able to direct our comments to the person that we feel may have stepped outside of the rules of town council or the state of New Jersey and be able to ask them, why was this done? By putting it all to council, then you then have to have a spokesperson of who's going to speak for town council. Will that be you as president of town council? And will you then answer those questions? Or does that just make it easier to deflect it because, well, I don't know why that member acted in those ways, or I don't understand why they did what they did. Like, that's where I see the problem with that policy is you want questions directed to the council as a whole versus being able to individually question each member of council who each individually has their own powers as a council member. So the Delran Board of Education acts as a complete entire board. We only have power as a unit of 9 people when we're in a room together, not when I'm out on the street, not when I'm anyplace else until we gavel into our meetings do I have my power, where you as council president always retain that power. So if I feel that you might be doing something that you aren't supposed to be doing, I, as any other community member, should have the right to address you as an individual who may have done stuff that was not up to standards. So, to bring up a Board of Education policy, it's 2 totally different governments, because honestly, if something like that happened with somebody on our board where they were accused of trespassing on somebody's property, there would be an immediate investigation in the board itself, and it would be deemed whether or not it was legal. And if there was any questions, it would have been bumped right up to the state school board level to have a basic resolution of, was this a problem or not? Do we need to remove this person? So they run things differently than you guys do, because obviously, like Patrick asked, has anybody done anything about that stuff? Well, that's asking the council as a whole, and nobody's answered. Asking individuals why they did stuff, nobody's answering. But we as residents should retain the right to individually ask questions of each council member for their actions, not have to ask the whole entire council because they don't know why people do things. Okay. So unless you guys have background information that we're not privy to and would like to share it, that would be great. But if I ask a council member, why did you do this? Or a mayor, why did you do this? I should be allotted an answer from that person, not have to wait for the whole town council to meet, decide what they're going to answer or how they're going to answer it. I mean, it's not unreasonable, but basically putting that whole council has to be, questioned. You've taken away our right to ask for information as your individual powers. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to explain to you there, but you all have individual powers. So you should have.
Mr.
power
Oberg,
over-
you're at your 5 minutes. Would you like to wrap up?
I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. So just for the record, no member of this body can act without a majority vote. I have no one on this dais can do that. The only one who can is the mayor, and that's through administrative powers he has. We are a body ourselves. But I want to be clear, nobody's stifling anybody's right to ask any member of this body a particular question. In fact, Mr. Duff just asked the mayor a personal question. A direct question that wasn't stopped by me. So that portion of the resolution is intended to prevent frivolous, litigious back and forth that has no merits on the base, no merits, or it's not even related to the business that the township is conducting, right? What did I do on the weekend? Did I go visit friend X, Y, and Z, right? Obviously, you can't ask those personal questions that have nothing to do with the work that we do. So that provision is not intended. I understand your concern, but that provision is not intended. I don't plan to use it that way, to stifle people from asking legitimate questions. That's there to prevent frivolous stuff that literally has nothing to do with the conduct of this township council. Okay. With that, this is tedious. I think we have Brian Beata. Brian, can you hear us?
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good. I didn't know if you wanted me to raise my hand for the emergency squad portion or if you were going to call on the emergency squad.
Yeah, we were going to call on you on the next meeting, but you're here now. So if you want to talk now, you're more than welcome to, or we can wait till our next meeting, which will happen when this meeting concludes today.
I will wait for our next meeting.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Is there any other hands? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to come out of public comment.
I make a
Taking a
motion to
motion.
come out of public
Okay,
comment.
Marlo, and can I get a second, please? And a second, please.
Second, Tom Lyon.
Thank you, Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Those opposed, the motion carries. Our floor is now closed. And next, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Tom Lyon.
Second, Lynn Jenny.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. That is for our reorg meeting. We are now going to go into our normal township public meeting. I'm going to just ask if we can do a 2-minute recess, bathroom break, and then we will get to our public portion of our meeting. So 2 minutes, Melissa will stop the recording to bifurcate that. And then we'll be back in 2 minutes to begin our public portion, our public meeting that was noticed to start at 7, which is delayed. Thank you.